So we're cracking open Mary and her step-husband. Her grandhusband. Shout out to Layla Lynn, her grand-husband. So Mary says, why would I make up I smelled hospital? That's silly. You're silly. You made up your grandmother left you her husband in the will. That's silly too. So Mary says, well, this is my second time apologizing. I'm not gonna keep apologizing. And Jen said, well, you weren't sincere the first time, which you weren't, and you ain't sincere now. Mary, why do you keep saying apologize like you're on Rugrats? Okay, now we talking about 7-Eleven gate, and she said, I didn't say black people. Can we roll tape, please? Because everybody remembers her saying it but her. Wait, now she gonna say, my taste for black guys, that's not my taste? Is that why you married to Casper the Friendly Ghost? Andy said your taste is not for black guys? Andy don't know what she talking about, because you know what, never mind, that's allegedly. Oh, Lord, so her husband is okay because he's lighter. Did she say, she said, oh. So we just full colorism today. Whitney was like, Whitney's like, I'm white and I know not to say that. So she's like, oh no, not just white guys, just lighter guys. Ooh. Well, that explains your elbows. Mary, now you're gonna say, isn't your husband racist? So you just throwing stuff out. See, this is why I'm not here for her. Child, she tried to clean it up at the end, wasn't nobody buying it. Oh goodness, so now when we called Mary a grandfather Uckerfay, nobody went to check Jen. It was true. I mean, it's true. You've had a child with your step-grandfather. You're still married to your step-grandfather. So you are in a sexual relationship with your step-grandfather. You have Uckfade Imhay. Oh, God, either accept the apology or not, Mary. I am sick of you. You are too obtuse. Now, hold on. You just said, well, I'm not going to apologize over and over, but you want her to apologize over and over. Oh, Jen Shaw, they brought up your tweets. And girl, you said Mary shouldn't talk about other people's family while she's laying in her grandmother's bed with her husband. Well, whose husband? I mean, I guess he's both their husbands, really. Well, I guess just one, since death did do them part. All right, so Andy, the verse, is going to try to get to the bottom of why Jen threw the glass and got so mad when Whitney told her that Lisa and Meredith were afraid of her. So Mary was lying and I was right. Lisa and Meredith did not say to Mary that they were afraid of her. Lisa and Meredith did not say to Mary that they were afraid of her. And I knew Meredith didn't do that because Meredith don't seem that interested in none of them. So Lisa said, well, why were you so happy to tell her that we were scared when y'all was the ones running around saying you were scared? And they were. I think they just wanted some more heifers on their team so that way they wouldn't be as afraid because there's safety in numbers. Whitney and Heather, bad weather, tornado, spin the story. Oh, goodness. What tacky... I hate to say a white queen wrote that, but I know one did. Where did you get that bad read from? That was some high school shit. Some nursery school uckery fay. I mean, that was terrible. Lisa, you lost all your cool points with that. Not that you had any to begin with. So you're in the negative. Heather said, well, I hope that little read takes off more than Janisa. Lisa, why are you trying so hard to be up Jen's bus? I was livid. You were talking about my friend's marriage, Heather. You couldn't wait. Well, Lisa, you really mad that you didn't know what was going on in your friend's marriage. You probably wanted to swipe at Scott. And with your big ugly, I could understand why. Lisa's told Heather to get there other than Andy Cohen. Well, you said this was therapy. I'm just repeating what you said. Andy gonna say I'm not a bad therapist. I don't know. Your questions, quite frankly, aren't that probing. And I figured you would know all about probing. So Logan from Utah wants to see the will where Mary's grandmother left her husband. Mary said, oh no, there are no receipts. Grandma just told me. Didn't clue her husband in, just told me to take her place. I don't think she meant in the bed. Wouldn't your mama have been more age appropriate? so are you in love with your coot or is it an arrangement? And she said, I think I am. I think I love him. I don't think you know what love is. And I agree with the chat. You seem high up. A pill popping tea. Those pupils are giving me dilation. Mary gonna say, yeah, I was married at 19, but that divorce had nothing to do with Robert Sr. Lies. Because there wasn't enough time. You was with Robert Sr. at 22, 3 years later. Andy said, are y'all physical? And she was like, I wouldn't want to be physical with that. You've got to put scaffolding up to get under that fupa. The fat upper penis area. She said the last few years, no, and they sleep in separate bedrooms. Girl, I don't even think you having an affair. I think you just wasting time. She said you can't go through a marriage for 22 years and be happy, then why are you in it? Now she talking about her Chanel and her designer things that Robert gets her. But he ain't getting you an orgasm, and I don't think he ever has. Maybe that's why you're so uptight. She's saying, we're happy, we're happy. Girl, you are not happy. All right, now we get into the audio of Mary cussing out her congregation. Oh, she gonna say, oh no, it was taken out of context. It was about Jesus. So Jesus was cussing people out. You know what? I didn't see that in the Psalms. Maybe that was in Revelation. All right, now we get into Heather's sob story. Heather didn't think there was an audience for the mess that she is. Girl, we love a linebacker like you. Andy said, you better get on some apps, girl. Andy gives me a grinder and a scruff tea. And I've heard jacked, but again, that's another conversation for another time. Allegedly. Heather said, look, I ain't gonna have my kids making the same mistakes I made. They gonna own their orgasm. Heifer get out here being a loveless marriage, end up like Murr. No thank you. Oh, Andy said, now hold on, Heifer. You recommended her for the show, but you didn't know her. What's the real truth, Lisa? So apparently there's a text from 2017, which is when they first met. Heather still feels like Jen wants to be a part of the Glam Sisters, aka Lisa and Meredith. They're not glam. So Heather said, well, Jen was going in on everybody but Lisa on social media, so that's why I thought she wanted to be closer friends with her. Oh, all of a sudden, Heather bucking up. Oh, Jen is weak and you've been manipulating her to go after us on social media. And I could see Lisa pulling it because Lisa loves to keep her hands clean. And that's why you want to keep Jen around, because she needs somebody to film with and you're like, okay. And she's got a short fuse and you know how to light it. A Vanderpump tea. Now, if you never met her, Lisa, then how did you know that she wasn't taking her honor pledge seriously and was flashing her boobs in college if you didn't know her? But I digress. Heather had a point. Lisa, why are you trying to be friends with Jen over Meredith? Because Jen done talked about Meredith's marriage, and you supposed to be so buddy-buddy with Meredith, but you running to be friends with Jen because you like the manipulate. Child, now Heather don't want to move forward because she said you trading up and you won't admit it. I will say, for the show's sake, Lisa is attaching herself to the biggest plot line. Heather got a point on that one. So, Lisa, I don't understand this tirade you going on. Okay, nobody wants to be friends with Jen Shah. That's what you want. Well, Jen was kind of an ass to everybody, so that was the natural progression. Meredith said, Lisa, I wasn't listening to you. Lisa, you have to admit, things are 50-50 and you say things with slick shade. That's what you do. Heather told Lisa, well, you're in last place in life. And you are, because you have the ugliest husband. Oh, so Lisa running off to give her husband a hug, and it looks like this is it. And, I mean, the second part is always boring, but the Lisa and Heather, yip, yip, yap, yap, it's hard to pay attention to and even harder to decipher. Heather doesn't want you to hate Jen. Heather is just not here for Jen not being accountable for her behavior. You want to cozy up to her because that means you're going to get more camera time and nobody will be focusing on your mess of a merge. All right, next week we got the husbands. I'll see you soon for something.